To pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor.
What difference at this point does it make?
Out of what's going on in the world today, then you've come to the right place. Welcome to Southern Sense Talk Radio with your host, Annie, the Radio Chick-A-Dee, and featuring Curtis C.S. Bennett and the most interesting guests that you'll find anywhere on Internet radio. Be heard by dialing 917-889-3675. So sit back, relax, and remember, Southern Sense is common sense.
Well, welcome back to another adventure here on Southern Sense, listening live on Blog Talk Radio, Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, also now up on Amazon Music, and half a dozen other places. I have no idea, but you can also catch us on our webpage, which is Southern Sense, as in commonsense.net, southernsense.net. I'm your hostess with the least mostest, the Radio Chick-A-Dee, Annie, along with my co-host, Curtis C.S. Courageous Bennett. Good afternoon, Curtis. How are you today?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I had to look at the calendar twice to make sure this wasn't Friday the 13th, because started out the day taking Carolyn's car to the shop about 16 miles away, and we did that, and then we stopped at a store. My car wouldn't come back on, so I had to call AAA and find out what was going on. Had a bad battery, and then during that time, I had 2 calls about 2 fraud cases on my accounts from 2 of my banks. So it's been a challenging day so far. But I got the new battery in, and I got the 2 fraud cases taken care of. So now all we have is Blog Talk Radio to deal with.
Well, like I said, we have a lot going on, a lot to talk about. We've got 2 fantastic guests being on the show, and I'm surprised because, one is a friend of the show that's been on the show. And matter of fact, when my husband passed away, sent a very, very lovely note to me. That's now going on 3 years ago. Anyway,
wow, that's long.
Yes, former Lieutenant Governor of Florida, the great state and libertarian and conservative.
A free state.
Free state. Thank you. You got the words right out of my mouth. Of Florida, Lieutenant Governor Jennifer Carroll. She'll be coming back on. And then everyone's been talking about all this stuff with Donald Trump and J6, the January 6th, people that have been arrested and incarcerated, and many of them in prison for long terms, some sitting there for more than 2 years, not going to trial yet. So much talking about the 14th Amendment speedy trial. I'm sorry, 6th Amendment speedy trial. Yeah. We're going to have Jake Lang calling from his prison cell, his political prison cell, we're going to call it. He'll be calling in at the second half of the show. He has been incarcerated now for over 1,060 days. I believe it's now 1,062 or 63 days as of today. So we have a lot going on and a lot to talk about. I want to welcome everyone that's in the chat room here on Blog Talk Radio, as well as Facebook and YouTube. And thanks for joining us. But we've got, like I said, a lot to talk about, Curtis. But this is the big news.
Yes, we do.
Big news of the day. Annie is getting married tomorrow.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sprung that one on me. I didn't see that one coming.
Sprung that on a lot of people. About a year ago, I met a gentleman. It was about a year after Yanni had passed away. Met a gentleman, and it turns out he lived around the corner from me. And we hit it off, and, just 2 weeks ago, we said, let's talk about doing it. And now Saturday, we're going to be doing it. Very quiet. Be in my house in front of the fireplace. And next year, we'll throw a big bash. But we'll be just nice and quiet, do it low-key. So, yeah, tomorrow's the big day. Anyway, wish me luck.
Oh, yeah. Especially with the weather. We're supposed to have storms here. High winds, everything.
Well,
so be careful.
Legend goes that if it rains on the day you marry, it's good luck. And my cousin's been texting me.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, my cousin texts me, says, I have been very lucky in love. Each time I got married, well, the second and third time it rained a little bit afterwards. But this time, oh well, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway.
Well, I guess you can always get somebody to have a water hose on hand. Sprinkler.
Yeah, throw me in the shower. Okay. All right, let's get a little serious here. Like I said, we do have a lot to talk about and a lot to do. And those that listen to our show know that we start off each and every show with a dedication to a fallen hero. And today's dedication is going to be going out to Deputy... Whoops, that shouldn't have done that. Let me just bring this back. Where's that thing? That should not have done that. There we go. Let's take that out and push this again. I apologize for the technical. That's my screw up. It's going to be going out to Deputy Marshal Barry Giglio of Ville, Platte Marshal's Office in Louisiana. His end of watch was Monday, July 31st of this year. And this is from several different sources, and I'll quote each one as we go through. The first is from NBCnews.com, the Associated Press release. It reads, a deputy marshal and another man were killed when a woman was critically wounded in a shooting during a drug investigation in southern Louisiana, authorities said. Ville Platte Deputy Marshal Barry Giglio died at the scene in the city, about 75 miles northwest of Baton Rouge, on Monday night. Giglio was shot while helping members of the Evangeline Parish Sheriff's Office serve a warrant in a home where drug activity was suspected, per Louisiana State Police. A man and a woman in the home also were struck by gunfire and taken to the hospital where the man had died. One person was arrested, but authorities didn't immediately release the names of the suspect and the other victims. The tragedy is yet another reminder of the sacrifices men and women in law enforcement make each and every day when they put on their uniform and badge, not knowing if they'll come home to their families at the end of the day. Ville Platte Mayor Ryan Leday Williams said. He added, Deputy Marshal Giglio's ultimate sacrifice in service of his community will never be forgotten. And from KATC, this is from Darcy Ortiz, and she writes, Louisiana State Police are investigating the fatal shooting of Deputy Marshal Barry Giglio. According to police, Giglio was shot and killed in the 100 block of West Beauregard Street in Ville Platte on that Monday night, and at least 2 other people were shot also. In a statement from Elizabeth West, who works for the Evangeline Parish Tourist Commission, Gig, as I called him, had the biggest heart, West wrote. He would have helped anyone if you asked, because he was just that kind of a person. It was obvious he had a passion for protecting people. I think that's why he absolutely loved being a law enforcement officer. Longtime Ville Platte resident Rufus Surley said he was friends with Giglio for years. and he wanted his loved ones to remember him for the impact he had on the people he served. He was someone that was very informative for the people, Surly said. People liked him, his character, his charisma, and everything like that. He was a very nice guy. He was humble, and he would never raise his voice at you. Surly also said Giglio was the kind of man who, if he didn't have the answer you were looking for, he would direct you to someone else who could better assist. It's just a tragedy that happened to him, Surly said. And also from WKATC by Christina Mondragon. And she writes, family and fellow law enforcement brother and sisters gathered together to pay their respects to fallen Deputy City Marshal Barry Giglio. Giglio was killed in the line of duty while serving a search warrant in Ville, Platte. The motorcade traveled over 145 miles from Brossard to New Orleans to bring back Deputy Barry's body to his home in the city of New Orleans, where he will be laid to rest. Along the route, American flags were displayed and bystanders saluted Giglio for his service. KATC spoke with Giglio's son, Joseph Giglio, about his father's impact and how much this motorcade meant to his family. It's heartwarming seeing all the support. I know he would have loved all of this, and just glad he's back here and we can lay him to rest, he said. Also remembering him as a faithful servant to the force and a long, loving, dedicated father. He said he was always there for you, anything you needed. He was a call away to be there. He was dedicated and served everywhere he's ever been. Reggie Thomas, Lafayette City Marshal, said Giglio's death impacts everyone who puts on a uniform and badge every day. It's just a tough time. It's a tough time we know for the family, and it's our job to support the family. The family, which includes his personal family, and it also includes the law enforcement, and every law enforcement officer in Louisiana, in the nation, is hurting, Thomas said. He was a good man. He raised me right, and I won't forget what he taught me, his son added. And from WWITV, in Ville, Platte, Deputy Marshal killed in the line of duty was laid to rest at Lake Lawn Cemetery. A procession of more than 25 different law enforcement agencies led him from his funeral service in Belle Chase to the cemetery. Bagpipes blared as Deputy Marshal Barry Giglio's body was carried out in a flag-draped casket. His family followed closely behind. Very distraught, said Gail LaRocca, Giglio's sister. He was married with children, and it's been a lot to handle. As the bagpipes blared, Deputy Marshal Barry Giglio's body was carried out in a flag-draped casket. Families, along with a group of elementary students, lined the streets to watch the procession. Officers and deputies from Jefferson Parish, New Orleans, Ville, Platte, and beyond were on hand to honor the city marshal. Giglio was fatally shot on July 31st while helping members of the Evangeline Parish Sheriff's Office. Every law enforcement job is dangerous, and this is no different, said Reggie Thomas of the Lafayette City Marshals. City marshals work with every law enforcement agency, so that's why you see JP coming together. You're going to see police officer, and this is where everyone comes together as law enforcement brothers. LaRocca said, Giglio was the definition of a good time, a man who loved cooking, fishing, and spending time with his family. It's overwhelming, said LaRocca. All the love and support. We were born in Gretna, and he lived in Platte Mines for 30 years. Ville Platte now after Katrina. Words couldn't describe. It's just beautiful. His online obituary reads, Barry was a native of Gretna, Louisiana, and a resident of Ville Platte, Louisiana. Barry was a graduate of West Jeff High School. He worked for Brown and Root for many years, and after leaving Brown and Root, he owned a jewelry, florist, and catering company in Burris, Louisiana. Following Hurricane Katrina, he relocated to Ville, Platte, where he owned the Pig Stand restaurant. In 2013, he joined the Evangeline Parish Sheriff's Department, where he worked for many years before he moved to the Ville Platte City Marshals as a lieutenant. While in business and working as a police officer, he volunteered for charitable events and was recognized with many honors. He was known by many to be generous and kind. Barry was an avid outdoorsman, a great cook, and he loved spending time with family and friends. He paid the ultimate sacrifice and gave his life serving his community. He will be deeply missed by all. Today's show is dedicated to Deputy Marshal Barry Giglio. It is also dedicated to all the brave men and women out there who serve as first responders, be they law enforcement, firefighters, or emergency services. And we dedicate it to also the brave men and women that serve in our military, from the birth of this nation through today and into our hopeful future. We say God bless to each and every one. And I'm looking for the dedication music, and I have to apologize for having a little technical difficulty on this side, and I am trying to find it, and I don't believe I just lost it. Holy cow. Just bear with me for a second, folks, and we'll get it back. Geez. Let me try this one other way, and Curtis, I'm having one of those days today, you know? We get into a very serious dedication here, and then I can't find the amazing music that I want.
Oh, yeah.
This is... All right. We'll add it with Amazing Grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. And when we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's grace than when we'd first begun. We've no less days to sing God's grace than when we'd first begun.
Hey, and we're back, and we're going to take one quick break with an Edwards report from Ron Edwards, and here we go.
Department of Justice madman Jack Smith is so focused on getting President Trump locked up, he hopes to get quick help from the United States Supreme Court. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, brought to you by Constitutional Grounds Coffee. If one is accused of criminal activity in this land of presumed innocence until proven guilty, it seems rather odd, or worse, that the anxious Jack Smith has gotten the Supreme Court to rule on President Trump's claims of presidential immunity from the unwarranted charges levied against him, including conspiracy to defraud the United States, among other charges. Trump hater Smith is fighting to maintain the March 4th trial date. That's one day before Super Tuesday in his, in my opinion, trumped-up case against President Trump. There are some, including yours truly, who wonder if the DOJ is part of the scandal of the missing Secret Service texts, including those of DOJ agent Robert Engel, who alleged that President Trump attacked him and grabbed the steering wheel of the vehicle they were in, allegedly, with a thick bulletproof glass between them. If true justice does prevail, this unwarranted tribulation trial shall to pass. I'm Ron Edwards. Being brought to you by Constitutional Grounds, the coffee you want in your cup.
I can't even say it. Oh, good Lord. For some reason, Blog Talk Radio is messing everything up. Can you hear me, Curtis?
Yes.
All right. It keeps on
I can
showing.
hear you now.
Yeah, it keeps on putting me onto mute.
Yeah, I heard that, and I think I'm on mute.
No, I can. What the hell is going on here? It keeps muting me. This is strange. This is friggin' strange. Curtis, if you get dead air from me, just keep pop. I don't know what's going on here, Curtis.
I can hear you.
You can hear me? Can you? Jeez. Curtis, do we have sound?
I have you.
Well, the studio, it keeps on showing me muted. So unless you tell me you got dead air.
Yeah, I see that. Let me ask somebody in the chat room if they can hear you.
That'd be good. Because this is the craziest thing. We got a definite problem here with Blog Talk Radio, and it's showing me as muted, and that's not right. So, yeah. Well, we got only one.
But that's strange because I hear you loud and clear.
Well, the only one I see right now in the BTR is Duck, and I'm hoping that Duck gives us a thumbs up, telling us that you can hear us. Because I'm telling you, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. I can say if I have a technical problem on my side with my studio, but this is in their program online. So I'm just hoping and praying that everything's coming through. And this is the weirdest freaking thing. And there's no way you can contact them to say, what's going on here. This is crazy. At one point, they had where you can hit someone and say, all right, fine, I've got a premium, subscription, and it gives you an online service. But they're not even doing that anymore. So you have a problem on air and it shows everyone now muted.
Well, Duck says it's not working right, so still not sure if that means he can't hear you or he hears you sometimes.
It's taking you and me and muting both of us arbitrarily. Now, it's showing that the light is on correctly. Let's pray it stays that way. But this is really stupid. Blog Talk Radio better get their act together. Otherwise, they're going to find a lot of accounts like mine that's been here for 14 years being closed. That's not right. Not right at all. All right, so let's cross our fingers and hope it stays that way.
Yeah.
What a cock-up. What an absolute
And remember, they said that they have their engineers working hard on a resolution. So I don't know what it is. Maybe somebody's hacking them.
I don't know.
CIA or NSI.
Well, we're waiting for your...
I better be careful. I might...
Say China? It's a J6? Oh, that's what it is. We're talking about January 6th. That's probably why.
But the way our government is being run now, I wouldn't be surprised if the men in black show up at my door.
I know.
Did you say something about NSI and the CIA?
NSA, you mean?
Yeah, NSA, we don't allow that no more. This ain't that kind of country.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's really apropos because yesterday was an anniversary. No one, except for one area, ever remembered what yesterday was. Yesterday was the 232nd anniversary of the ratification of the Bill of Rights. And here we are, we're going to be talking about the Bill of Rights, the First and Second Amendment. When we talk with former Lieutenant Governor Jennifer Carroll from Florida, and we talked to the J6 political prisoner still in jail, Jake Lang, today. So this was sent to me from Lieutenant General Jack Bergman, United States Marine Corps retired. He sent it through Patriot Messages, reminding us that in 3 short years, Biden has succeeded in destroying most of our rights. And he writes that he writes, I am proud of my service in the Marines, but now I need your help to continue to fight our Constitution in the halls of Congress. So he's running for Congress. I'm going to see if I can try to get him on the show. He writes, quite frankly, it pains me to see what Biden and my leftist colleagues have done to erode our liberties and spit on the graves of our founding fathers. They have created an enemies list and rounding up those who simply like President Trump's tweet, goodbye the First Amendment. They have been passing gun control legislations, goodbye Second Amendment. They have been secretly surveilling Americans without warrants. And just this week, Congress has extended the NDAA that had the FISA warrants in it. So they're still, we can say goodbye to the Fourth Amendment. They are now persecuting Trump and the J6 protesters without a fair and impartial trial. Goodbye the Sixth Amendment. So how apropos that today's show is going to be with the Lieutenant Governor Jennifer Carroll, as well as with the J6 prisoner Jake Lang. So yeah, yesterday was the celebration, which no one remembers because everyone wants to destroy the Bill of Rights and bring us into the Soviet, a communistic nation. And we've got to fight back, guys. It's time that we have to fight back. And we fight back at the voting booth. We fight back by contacting our elected officials. We fight back by writing editorials in publications such as newspapers, sending them into radio stations, TV stations. Get your voice heard and tell them to stop destroying our Constitution.
Well, I second that. Actually, I will be glad when the Supreme Court weighs in on all of this stuff going on with Donald Trump, especially in New York, as they try to go after his business dealings and shut this man down.
Well,
you know,
we got one good thing happening. Duck sent a message through Blog Talk Radio. So if you're trying to listen on Blog Talk Radio and you're having a hard time getting me in there, go to my website, my personal page. The video's up, the audio's up, everything's working fine there. You can catch us also on the Facebook page and the YouTube, but the easiest way is go to Southern Sense, as in common sense. Southern Sense, SENSE .net.
.net.
.net. SouthernSense.net. And there is a chat room up over there also. Let me go over to that page. And yep, Duck is over there. Thank you, Duck. Thank you.
It's always good to have an alternative, an alternative anything.
Yeah. And I want to thank Mark, the guy that built my page. Yeah, but I got to thank Mark who rebuilt my page over there. And he did a great job. There's a couple things I'm going to tweak here and there as we go along. But at least I know it's up and running over there. Ah, my heart's beating a little bit easier now. As we wait for Jennifer to give us a shout. All right.
So, you going away on a honeymoon or anything?
Not at this moment, because we have too much going on. And actually, Monday, I'm having a medical procedure done, so I have to be at the hospital Monday morning, 6 a.m. It's nothing major. It's nothing major. They found a couple of spots somewhere, and they want to remove them. But, you know, hey, we all get older and things happen like this. So that's it.
Okay. So we will no longer call you Annie Ubelis. What will be the last name?
Well, I'm probably.
Or are you going to stick with that?
I'm probably going to keep, like, for reasons like, you know, legal reason, whatever, for the show.
Yeah.
Keep the last. Everyone knows me as Ubelis, and everything I have is under Ubelis. It's a lot to change that all. So just for legal reasons, I'll keep that last name. But I will be Mrs. Mujica. And yeah, it is Cuban.
Say that again.
Mujica. It's from Cuba. He is a refugee from Cuba, came here in the 1960s. And in the area that I live in, he's known as someone who knows everything about the town, as if he was born here, because he came here as a teenager. So yeah, I have a Cuban American. In a couple of years, I'll be a refugee from the United States. We all might be if we don't turn things around, and hopefully we can start doing that. And believe me, folks, when I say that all politics start local, yes, they do. Because if they can get away with what they're doing in your local neighborhood, they'll take it up to the state and do it, and then they'll take it up to the nation and do it. So don't let them do it here. Matter of fact, I'm in the middle of a fight right now. They're looking for workplace housing. Now, I do agree we need more affordable housing for the people that live and work here. But what they want to do is have a company that came in that just formed just a handful of months ago. We know nothing about them. They have no track record. And they're going to put in place workforce housing by having rent-controlled housing. And then in their proposal, there's no way of saying how they're going to create it. So they're either going to be buying up houses, or they may end up by eminent domain taking homes. And what that does will depress the value of homes in that area. And when you do that, people living in those homes are going to have mortgages that are greater than the value of the homes. So you're going to be actually financially bankrupting people, causing poverty, instead of building houses. And then you create a huge administrative arm of your government that's going to administer this. And now your taxes are going to go up because now you have to pay for more government employees and the government administration of this workforce housing. And they're doing this, and as we're looking at it, my head is about ready to explode. That's not how you do affordable housing for the workforce. And what makes it worse is they're tailoring it for people that work for a specific company in a specific area. They get priority. So someone on the other side of the county that needs affordable housing is not going to benefit from this program. And here's the kicker, Curtis. The threshold level of this is if you earn in approximately $150,000, you get assistance with affordable housing. I'm sorry, you're earning $150,000. You don't need help from the government to get affordable housing. You're not helping a poor person. You're helping crony capitalism is what you're doing. You're helping your friends. And there is a possibility that a friend of mine and I are looking into it. The formation of this company that's going to be getting this grant from our county government may have connections to communist China. We haven't proven it yet, but we suspect it, and there's signals in there, and we have to just dig further to actually reveal the truth. So when I tell you folks, politics all start locally, believe me. And I spoke to my county representative today on the phone. He's the one person out of 11 that voted against this resolution, giving our money to this company. And I said, David, there's a much easier way that benefits everyone to create affordable housing. Because we have a two-tier tax system. If it's a second home or if it's a rental, you pay a higher tax than if you're an actual resident. So what you do is you say, we will rebate you a percentage of that, say a 0.5%, half of 1%, if you turn that housing into affordable rental property. Not short-term, but long-term, because we have a lot of vacations, a lot of short-term rentals for a week, 2 weeks, a weekend, but we need it for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. So if you do that, we rebate you a portion of that tax. You're earning an income on that property. You have someone in there. If it's for 2 years, you get, say, 0.5%. If you have that same person there at 5 years, you increase it to a full 1% rebate. And if you go that same tenant with a renewable lease is staying there up to 10 years, give them 2%, and then from there on, as long as that tenant with that lease is renewed, it's a continuous 2% rebate to your taxes. You've got affordable housing. And you've got a landlord not being regulated by government, but being regulated by the market. It makes sense. It makes simple common sense, the easiest way to do it. But no, let's create an administrative arm of government to regulate something that we actually need, yes, but doing it with so many loopholes in it. There's so many loopholes in this resolution they passed. And they did it without a public reading ahead of time. And they did it during a holiday when very few people are paying attention to what government is doing. That's sneaky. That is real sneaky. And it stinks. All right. There was someone there in the studio queue, but I don't know if that was Jennifer. There was no number attached to it. I don't know if you have her phone number that you can reach out to her. But maybe you may want to do that.
Well, I can call her. I just sent her a text.
Oh, yeah. Let's do that. In the interim, let me give you another of the Ron Edwards report, because he sent a bunch of them in here. And let me do this, and give me a second, and here we should go. Come on. Unplug. All right, now my computer's giving me a hard time.
Ukrainian not-so-funny man turned Ukrainian dictator Zelensky came to the United States seeking funding for his nation's big problem with Russia. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, brought to you by Constitutional Grounds, the coffee you want in your cup. Zelensky came with empty outstretched hands and left with empty pockets. Many U.S. politicians, including Mitch McConnell and Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia, who foolishly stated, quote, that some Republican lawmakers were cynically using the issue of illegal immigration at the United States-Mexican border to block funding for the Ukrainian war, unquote. Now, that statement is a reflection of the overall attitude of far too many of those like Warnock who were elected to govern on behalf of we the people and put our national interest first, but who refused to do so, which, by the way, is part of the diabolical Cloward-Piven strategy, which, among other things, is to undermine our national interests, like protecting our borders, and also fritter away our financial and military resources. So, it was with much tear to learn that the United States would not be wasting more of our tax dollars on a nation that provoked the Russian bear, now wreaking havoc in Ukraine. I'm Ron Edwards. Brought to you by Constitutional Grounds, the coffee you want in your cup.
Looks like we're going to stay, you know? Did I lose Curtis? All right, Curtis is probably trying to contact the former Lieutenant Governor Jennifer Carroll, also former Navy retired Lieutenant Commander. God bless her for her service also. What else do I have? Here we have, like I was from the Bill of Rights anniversary. And let's see what else we got here going on. And this is something good. This just came through on Newsmax. I pulled this up this morning, and this is absolutely excellent. There are several different location states where there are challenges to whether or not Trump should be on the ballot, the primary ballot, because of January 6th, because they're saying the 14th Amendment, because of that 14th Amendment, claiming he caused the insurrection, he should not be eligible to run for president. And so far, court after court after court has reaffirmed the fact of the two lower court rulings that the primary ballot is determined by political parties and the individual candidates, not by the courts. And this is something that last week we were trying to talk to Hans von Spakovsky with, but that's also a lot of technical difficulties we had. And he wrote a great article in Heritage about how he cannot be taken off the ballot. You cannot refuse him. He has not been convicted of any crime, especially the crime of insurrection, which is the 14th Amendment. And it's only been used 6 times. 3 people were removed because of civil war. That's the insurrection. 3 others were removed because of criminal activity. So, he hasn't been convicted of any crime at this point. He hasn't been proven of insurrection. He wasn't at the site of the Capitol when it happened. He didn't breach the Capitol. So, the courts have no authority on removing him from the ballot. And this is standing true at this point. So, hopefully Curtis will be able to come back to us. And we'll try that again. But this is what, one of those days. And, of course, it's, thank you, Blog Talk Radio, for causing all of these problems.
I'm back.
Okay, great. I was saying that here, I didn't say which court it was. I apologize. It was the Michigan Court of Appeals just yesterday that will not stop former President Donald Trump from appearing on the state's 2024 Republican primary ballot. So now a handful of states have offered the challenge, but Michigan and Minnesota, now earlier Colorado. So as they're going through these lawsuits, they're being dropped one by one. So it seems like Trump will succeed on being on the ballots.
There's no basis. There's no basis for it. You know, I mean, the guy didn't tell people to go there and disrupt. He told them to go there peacefully and exercise their rights. We have a right to protest. And not only that, he offered to send the National Guards and whatnot, and Nancy Pelosi turned him down. So they got a weak case, very weak case. And I think once this goes to the Supreme Court, it'll dissipate like a drop of water in the Sahara's desert sun.
Yeah, like I said, he is winning court after court. He still has the other cases against him, one of them civil that everyone's drooling over. It looks like they have problems with the one in Atlanta. He does have, we have going now before the Supreme Court. They said they will look at this. I'm trying to think of what the term is, where they oh, good. I'm having a brain fart here. When the Capitol was breached, they said it caused them to stop what they were doing. Congress to stop what they're doing. And I forget what you call the charge. I'm sorry about that, guys, if you're listening to me. I'm having a problem with the word unwant. Good Lord, Curtis, what can I do?
While you're trying to figure that out, let me give you an update on former Lieutenant Governor Jennifer Carroll. She has a family emergency. Her grandson has a high temperature and well over 100, and she's on her way to the hospital. So we'll have to reschedule her. She's looking forward to being on the show, and soon. But this came out of nowhere. You know.
Okay. The word I was looking for was obstruction. Brain farts today.
Okay.
They were obstructing the work of Congress. But this is one of the main charges against them. it's going up to the Supreme Court, and if the reason for this arrest of I forget how many people have been arrested under this for just January 6th, it may toss all those cases out of court. And we've got a lot of guys still behind bars that have not seen the court. And when we do talk to Jake later on, the horrific things that are being done to these prisoners, oh my goodness, it makes Gitmo look like a walk in the park. It is horrendous, and how this guy has stayed strong is amazing. It is amazing. So it's a lot. Right now, there's another article up in Newsmax. New York Republican Representative Elise Stefanik is alleging judicial misconduct by a federal judge who has overseen various January 6th related cases. And she filed a complaint last Friday and requested an ethics probe into U.S. Court Judge Beryl Howell over highly inappropriate political speech, she said, in November. A member of the House leadership and an ally of former President Trump, Stefanik, gained a lot of attention after her questioning of 3 university presidents. As a matter of fact, Saturday Night Live tried to do a parody on it, and it was disgusting. I don't think anyone on either political side of the spectrum was laughing at it. It was disgusting. Shame on them. Anyway, she was questioning these 3 university presidents regarding on-campus anti-Semitism around the country. And one of them has resigned, and the other one, 2 others are still in place. Hopefully they'll be honest enough to resign also, but I doubt it. Anyway, this article goes on to say Stefanik's complaint about how was submitted to the D.C. Court of Appeals Judge Suri Surbazin. I'm probably mispronouncing that. And that was according to NBC News. The alleged misconduct occurred when Howell accepted an award at, catch this, the Women's White Collar Defense Association Gala on November 27th. She filed a complaint of judicial misconduct against Judge Beryl Howell because election interference by judges destroy public confidence in the federal judiciary, tears apart the fabric of our republic, and it's illegal, and it must stop now, she posted on X, which was formerly known as Twitter, with her full complaint there. And she writes further, D.C. Obama Judge Beryl Howell gave a highly inappropriate speech in which she insinuated the election of President Trump will lead to fascism in America. She also inappropriately allowed a public display of her cozy personal relationships with her partisan friends who appear before her, including the Biden Deputy Attorney General, who supervises the January 6th criminal prosecutions. The judge, who was appointed by former Democratic President Barack Obama, spoke to the Women's Club crowd about the importance of fact, citing the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Quote, my D.C. judicial colleagues and I regularly see the impact of big lies at the sentencing of hundreds of individuals who have been convicted for offense conduct on January 6th, 2021, when they disrupted the certification of the 2020 presidential election at the U.S. Capitol, Howell said. As district court judges, we are all about facts, she said. In her complaint, Stefanik guesses that Howell's remarks were hardly apolitical and plainly inappropriate, consisting of partisan statements, election interference, and improper extrajudicial statements, while criminal cases are pending, according to NBC News. During her speech, Howell referred to a passage in a book by Heather Cox Richardson, the author of Democracy Awakening, that said the U.S. was, quote, at a crossroads teetering on the brink of authoritarianism, unquote. The Congresswoman pointed to that as evidence of the judge's speech becoming political. Howell promoted the Democratic political campaign theme in that the re-election of Donald Trump equates to America choosing authoritarianism, Stefanik said in a complaint. More than 1,200 people have been charged in connection with the January 6, 2021 attack at the Capitol. More than 700 have pleaded guilty to federal charges, according to the Department of Justice. This article was written by Charlie McCarthy on Newsmax.com. Wow. Now, if an ethics committee finds her guilty of that, how many of these convictions will be overturned, and how many of these charges of people pending trial will be withdrawn? So now you have the obstruction, the possibly being withdrawn, and now the judge's determination being withdrawn. It looks like we may be on the brink of being able to free a lot of these guys, hopefully soon.
Yeah, I've been observing how the left is already framing Trump's plan to, finish cleaning the swamp out. And he's going to go after those people who have shown a disdain for our Constitution and our freedom and stuff. And the way they are framing it is the revenge of Trump, and they're making it sound like, he's the next Napoleon, just around the corner. Well, I think some of them think he's Hitler. But this is just the way they frame things. I read their articles once in a while, and it's reluctantly, but, I'm trying to keep up with what's going on. And everything they say about Trump, it's very negative, always negative.
Yeah, well,
I think people are starting to see through this.
Yeah. You look at Liz Cheney. She recently, she seems to be the darling of MSNBC. And she's absolutely over the top. Over the top. You cannot even call her a rhino. She is a progressive liberal at this point. You have others that are actually foaming at the mouth because they're so anti-Trump. Chris Christie. Oh my goodness, Chris Christie. What else can you say about that man? Why is he even still running? Why hasn't he stepped away?
Well, like I said, when I was up in D.C. This past summer, I was there when he got booed, when he started attacking Trump. So he's got his crowd, but it's very, very small crowd. It's like comparing an ocean of support that Trump has to a fishbowl. And that's what
wait.
Fishbowl of support.
You're using Chris Christie, who's built like a whale, in an ocean. I love it.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. I just couldn't miss
and
it.
he just I don't know, he's angry at Trump for some reason. He's got a vendetta, put it that way.
Yeah, he does. And I'm trying to click onto the other chat rooms that up on iTunes, not iTunes, YouTube and Facebook, as well as my webpage, southernsense.net. But the secondary computer is misbehaving too. I don't know. I'm having like no luck today.
Major. Like I said, BTR has taken responsibility. I hope they find a resolution to these issues.
Yeah, well, I don't know what's going on here, so I have to apologize, guys. If you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, it's not us. It is Blog Talk Radio. But I am having little computer malfunction on my side. I've got a secondary computer I'm doing all the sound through for the clips, and it's giving me a little bit of a fit. It's misbehaving. So bear with me as we go through this. Technology, the more it advances, the harder it is for us to work. I tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, jeez. Anyway, we'll see what happens. All right, what else do I have up here to talk about? we got through that. Okay. One of the things I wanted to talk to Jennifer Carroll about, because she was a former a Navy officer, there's a problem with recruiting in the military and all branches, all branches. And what they have done recently, last month, this was up on Breitbart, and Christina Wong wrote this article titled "Army Scrambling to Get Back Soldiers It Kicked Out Over Biden's Military Vaccine." And she writes, the teeth in backwards, the Army now appears to be trying to bring back into service soldiers it kicked out of the Biden administration's policy to remove service members who rejected the coronavirus vaccine mandate. And this is according to a letter from the Army several former soldiers posted online. And the soldiers addressed, letter was addressed, quote, former service member, it states. That there's new Army guidance, a policy that will correct military records of those kicked out, and would be able to, those who were removed, to have their DD-214s marked with a certain code barring them from re-entering the service, to be able to return. And the letter instructed former soldiers on how they can get their records corrected. And this was on that form that was sent to the soldiers. It states, individuals who desire to apply to return to service should contact their local Army, U.S. Reserve recruiter for visiting www.goarmy.com, a USAR recruiter by visiting goarmyreserve.com, or an ARNG recruiter by visiting nationalguard.com/get-started. Sam Shoemate, a retired Army Chief Warrant Officer who fought the mandate and one of the administrators of military watchdog website called Terminal CWO, posted a copy of the letter on X, which formerly was Twitter. So they're sending this out to those that were separated for refusing to receive the COVID vaccine and asking them to correct their records so they can come back and re-enlist. And it is a great article, but more than 8,000 troops were kicked out of the National Guard, of the Army. Tens of thousands of National Guard members were sidelined and lost drill time and pay. And a number simply decided to not re-enlist. Thousands sought a religious, administrative, or medical exemption and were either denied or were waiting for a decision. When the House Representatives, Republicans forced the Pentagon to rescind the mandate via the 2023 National Defense Authorization, the mandate and decision to kick out thousands of the service members came at the same time as historic recruitment crisis all in this. And it goes on and on and on. But it looks like a lot of the guys are so ticked off, and gals are so ticked off, they're not re-enlisting. One of the things, though, I do know that is supposedly coming up is the House Republicans are looking at legislation to give them their back pay from the time they were separated to the time they re-enlist. That might be a great incentive and a way of apologizing for them. Give them back that lost time, that lost pay, and benefits. Because how many of them have had to use military VA rather than going through the military hospital? There's a lot that these guys and gals have forfeited because of their faith, their beliefs. No, I'm not taking the vaccine. You can't force me to put something in my body that I don't want in my body. That's a constitutional right to be secure in your person and papers. That's in the Bill of Rights. And our government violated, and they dismissed and they penalized these men and women. Should never have been penalized.
Well, as far as some of them not wanting to go back in, I'm sure quite a few of them found careers outside of the military. They're not going to just leave their current positions and say, hey, thanks for the job, I'm going back in. You know, they may have a better career right now. I mean, I wouldn't go back in, not under this administration, especially if I had a good job.
All right, well, we're waiting for a second guest to call in. He should be calling in momentarily. He is incarcerated in a D.C. jail as of last week, and as far as I know, he's still there. So it's up to whether or not he's able to get the call out, and we're crossing our fingers. So hopefully we will have him calling in a few minutes. Let me pull up some of the information on him while I'm sitting here, give you a heads up of what we'll be talking about with Jake when he does call in. Jake is one of the ones that was there at the Capitol on January 6th. He was arrested at the age of 25. He's now 28 years old and has spent the entire time behind bars. 3 years behind bars. And they now currently have him located in D.C., but every so often they were moving him around. Let me read you some of the stuff that I was said to promote him. And I'm telling you that the landmark case is going into the Supreme Court, and a lot of the deep state prosecutors are really in full meltdown. The 1512 obstruction of Congress charge, which is a 20-year max felony that 327 January 6thers and Donald Trump have been politically charged with, is going before SCOTUS. So this specific charge, the 1512 obstruction of Congress, is what they're being charged with. Now, Jake Lang was arrested in January 2021, and like I said, he's sitting still in a D.C. jail. They call it a gulag, without a trial. Remember, we do have a constitutional right to a speedy trial. So that could mean 6 months or 3 weeks. What's a speedy trial? Not 3 years. That's not a speedy trial. All right. As reported in the Gateway Pundit, 3 of the 2 judges on the appellate panel ruled against U.S. D.C. Judge Carroll, who dismissed the 1512 felony obstruction charge in 3 separate cases against the January 6th defendant. Most notable among them affected was Jacob Edward Lang, widely known as Jake Lang. And he had multiple eyewitnesses on that day, had accounts of his repeated efforts to save lives during the onslaught of violence near the Capitol. Now remember, 2 women were killed. All right? And neither one of them were armed. The second woman, Roseanne Boylan, she was the second one that was killed, and he was trying to help her and keep her out of harm, but no one talks about that. There was another gentleman, I don't have his name directly in front of me, that he did save by his actions. Now, the 1512 obstruction of Congress is on the chopping block right now. He writes this. This is an interview he had recently. Where was this one? Posted on Jake's X page, his Twitter page. And he writes, oh, this is possibly him. Let's bring this in on there. And I'm hoping that I do have Jake Lang with us. Do I?
Yes, you do, Annie. Hello, Jake Lang coming to you live from Washington, D.C. jail, a Jan 6 political prisoner.
Well, God bless you, sir. I did watch an interview you did about 5-6 days ago, and you had me mostly in tears towards the very end. And you've got a very interesting story, and I know you are limited because of your phone time. And I was kind of like cracking up when you got 1 minute left. It's like, go away. So I want you to tell your story, what happened January 6th and what has transpired up to today. What you have to tell from your arrest, your transportation, the abuses that you endured, and where you're heading now. And we're all praying for you. I'm telling you that right now. So go ahead. I don't want to waste your time.
Thank you, Annie, and I appreciate your prayers, American people. We love you guys, the Jan Sixers. You're the reason why we guys fight and we stand strong. You know, it's liberty or death for us, and that's the same attitude, you know, that I had on January 6th. I was there for peaceful reasons, you know, to peacefully protest with my fellow Americans. A stolen election, reprehensible. That they would try to install a communist puppet leader like Joe Biden, bought and paid for by China, that in our own country. And, you know, we showed up strong, and we showed up with love of God in our hearts and the love of our Bill of Rights, our Constitution. And, you know, we were there to make a stand. And we made a stand all right. And, you know, that day lives in infamy now is the day where free men stood against tyrants. And I'm proud to be a Jan Sixer. You know, that day I tried saving people's lives. I'm credited with saving 2 men's lives that they came forward and done court-sworn affidavits. I tried to save Roseanne Boylan's life. She was murdered by the Capitol Police, as well as 3 other unarmed American civilians were murdered by the Capitol Police that day, by our own government. And now you have 1,200 and some odd January 6th political prisoners that have been persecuted throughout this country, rounded up like animals by the FBI in the middle of the night, kicked our doors in and dragged us out of our homes, kidnapped us, and threw us in gulags in solitary confinement like I'm in right now. And that's the truth.
Well, I listened and saw what some of the stuff that you were talking about. They don't even treat guys in Gitmo as badly as they're treating you. Explain to them some of the stuff that you're going through, especially the treatment by female correctional officers to you, as well as the beatings, the food, everything.
Yeah, I mean, I've been moved to 13 different prisons. In my last 1,000 days, I've been incarcerated without a trial. Over 1,000. It's like 1,070 days now, Annie. And I've seen a lot of horrible mistreatment of human beings. We've been persecuted, especially because we're Jan Sixers, because we're Trump supporters. Here in Washington, D.C. jail, they have a disgust for us, a lot of the guards here in Washington, D.C., because most of them are like your typical, you know, Democrat, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, you know, Marxist type of people. And they just want to inflict as much punishment, as much pain and torture on us as possible while we're here. So they stick us in solitary confinement like I'm in right now. I've done, in my last 36 months of incarceration, I've done 24 of them, 2 years of solitary confinement. And, you know, that's one of the worst tortures you could ever put a human being in. If I didn't have a relationship with God, if I didn't know Jesus as my best friend, I really, truly wouldn't have been able to make it through this. But I've been able to remain joyful and with hope and with a lot of peace in my heart because of that spirit that God just so graciously pours out on those who love him. And but I've been through the worst, and I'm not going to lie, I'm not sitting here to complain because God gives greater grace.
You have 1 minute remaining.
We're not going to bend and fold because of the torture. But, you know, I did 15 months without being able to visit my family, 16 months without having a haircut or shave. I looked like a homeless vagrant. I've done 6 months at a time without even seeing the sunlight, fresh air, being outside. And, you know, this is the kind of stuff, this is what tyranny of modern day America actually physically looks like. It's not a theory. It's not something with the powdered wigs, you know, and our founding fathers. Tyranny is here in America right now. And Annie, give me a moment. I'm going to give you a call back, and I'll join you again, okay?
Please do. Thank you. All right, as he said, he's got only 15 minutes. So
Thank you for using Global Tellink.
And what he's going through, where they stripped him naked, and when he goes to sing our national anthem, they pepper spray him, and they don't allow him to wash this off. It is horrific what he has gone through, and it's unforgivable that our government has been doing this to our people. These are our citizens.
And that's true. We have something called the Geneva Convention, where we wouldn't even treat our enemies that we capture in those kind of ways. And to think that that's going on here, you know, on our shores is irreparable, you know. Just hard to believe, but it's happening.
Yeah, and it looks like, well, did I just lose him? Oh, shoot. He just dropped off. Holy cow. Hopefully you'll call right back. All right, I apologize. I went to click to put him on and I hit the wrong button. My bad. Curtis, my hands are not working too well today. All right, maybe I'm nervous about tomorrow.
Okay.
But like
I
you
got
said,
him. Oh, yeah, of course. It's a big day.
Yeah, well, as I was saying, that when they were using the, you can call it Zoom or the Zoom court appearance, here they are, unshaven, no haircut. They look like homeless bums. They look like terrorists. And that's how they allowed them to be seen in court and expect that the judge and jury is not going to be influenced.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They want to portray these folks as, pretty much like their people are. They're rioters. Bunch of, I don't know, hand-me-downs, beatniks from the 60s.
Yeah. Hopefully he will call back. I'm just waiting for him to try to call back in. My bad. I saw the thing and I just clicked the wrong button. Anyway, some of this stuff, like you said, it's been it's close to 1,070 days. 1,070 days. There's only 365 days to a year. Come on, guys. There's no reason for someone to be in prison that long. He's coming on a full 3-year. He said that they look like homeless vagrants or deranged terrorists during the video court appearances. And he said, denied visitations.
Okay.
Let's see if it's possible. And I'm hoping it is. Is this Jake? All right. Is this Jake?
Annie. Yes, it is. God bless you.
All right.
Yes, it is.
So we were talking about some of the stuff that you were going through, where you got pepper sprayed for singing a national anthem, our national anthem. God bless America. I mean, what? The pepper spray you for singing? And then what they did was they wouldn't allow you to wash the stuff off, and you got into the bed. I want you to tell what you were experiencing. It was horrific.
Oh yeah, that was a rough one. So one time I got punched in the gut for singing the national anthem and thrown up against the wall by the guards. And a separate time I was inside my own cell showing somebody through the little cell window my Bible, my new Bible I got sent in, and some family photos. And the guards were just feeling a certain type of way that day, and they opened up my cell door and they pepper sprayed me point blank range and dragged me out of the unit. They put me in a shower cell without any soap or a towel, and that oily liquid that the pepper spray is filled with ran down out of my eyes and off my face onto my genitals and burned me so severely for many hours. On my genitals and in my eyes. I was blinded for many hours after that, stinging, and my private parts were really on fire, unbelievable. And then the oils transferred because they threw me in a cell basically half naked for 2 weeks without a blanket, just with a sheet and a pair of pants. And the oils transferred from my face onto that mattress covering, this plastic mattress covering. And then like 2-3 months later, when, I went back up to my unit out of the solitary confinement hole that I'm in right now, which I'm currently calling you from, they brought me back up to the Patriot Pod. One night I was sleeping and my sheets came off my mattress. And I rolled over onto that same area where those oils from the pepper spray were still on. And that stuff is so powerful. It was active 3 months later. I was dreaming that I was on fire, and I woke up and my face was burning. And I tried putting it all together, and I'm like, I couldn't believe that pepper spray is so strong. It is military grade stuff that they used on the prisoners. And, it was still active 3 months later. So, that's just some of the I'm not here to complain. I made it through. God got me through. And I don't want any pity. That's not for a pity party. But that's just the raw facts of the matter. That's some of the subjected torture I've been through as a January 6th political prisoner.
Hey, Jake.
Curtis, I want to get this. This is really important because what you're going through, despite the fact that you're going through, you're still helping the other J6ers out there. You've got a j6truth.org that you're doing. You're up there on X, formerly Twitter, as Jake Lang J6. You've got the website, and you're helping to raise money to help the families of your fellow J6 prisoners. I want to get that out there. I want people to know what you're going through and how you are helping them without seeking help for yourself that badly. I mean, you know what I mean. You're giving all, and you have been through so much. I'm almost in tears right now.
I will. God bless you. God bless you so thoroughly, and may His face shine upon you. And I can feel your spirit, and it's nice to have people who care about you. And the American people are the reason why we do this. And the Jan Sixers are like the cream of the crop of the American people. I love them so much. They're my brothers. And the same way we were fighting and standing against tyranny on Jan 6, I still stand with all of them. And you know what we do, I've been so blessed with my father. He's a successful entrepreneur, a hardworking man, owns Roto-Rooter franchises. He's taking care of my legal bills and my commissary. And so I said, let me reach back. Let me use some of my marketing skills and abilities. I'm an entrepreneur myself. And let me make some websites, some documentaries, some fundraisers for the guys, and try to get some people taken care of that need lawyers, that need commissary and stuff like that. God put it on my heart to do it, so I went out and did it. One of our main resources we have for the Jan 6 community is called SponsorJ6.com. And on SponsorJ6.com, you could become a monthly commissary sponsor and have a real tangible impact on the life of a Jan 6. You help them buy phone call time, like, you know, it's very expensive, over $2 a minute, or sorry, $2 a phone call to make a phone call. Commissary products, hygiene products, clothing, you know, sweatshirts for the winter. Guys, go to SponsorJ6.com. Help us out for Christmas. We're doing a big fundraising drive, and that would mean the world to me. I'm so appreciative when you guys support my Jan 6 brothers. It means the world to me, and we need the help. So one more time, the website, if you guys want to pull it up on your phone right now on Safari or Google Chrome, it's SponsorJ6.com.
I've got a link on the page here. So when people go into the archives and listen later on, they click on Legal Defense Fund here. I have a link directly on my page to that. So they can also click on that too, Jake. I'm sorry, Curtis, go ahead.
Jake, how often do you get to meet with your counsel?
Hey, brother. You know, the legal access, I've been moved to 13 different prisons. I've been put in prisons where I've had my lawyers drive down 2 or 3 hours to come visit me, and they didn't even let them inside. I've had times where my lawyers tried to send binders of legal documents, and 2 months later they got them back in the mail. I never received them, and they got caught in the mail room.
Yeah, that's totally unconstitutional.
They're horrible. It is horrible. But, you know, legal access in different facilities is a little bit better, but what does it matter if you're getting? If your lawyer can come visit you first from all across the country. And so a lot of our lawyers in California are in here, and we're stuck in the gulag in Washington, D.C. And second, give us our evidence that we have available. I mean, the Jan 6 tapes recently coming out, they've only put out 80 hours out of 44,000 hours. So there's still so much exculpatory evidence, which is evidence in legal terms that helps exonerate you. It's positive evidence in your favor. There's still so much exculpatory evidence out there that Jan 6ers do not have access to. They've gone to trial. They've lost at trial without having access to evidence. That's called a Brady violation. It's a basic due process violation that warrants dismissal of the case. And so the Justice Department is so corrupt in the way that they're going about the January 6th persecution in every way, shape, and form. This stuff needs to be broadcasted, and that's why I'm really appreciative that you guys have had me on your program today to, you know, inform the American people what they need to know. This is tyranny.
It is. And you've got a case now going up to the Supreme Court dealing with the 1512. And I had Hans von Spakowski on last week, and I wanted to ask him about it, but our connection was so bad. I'm going to bring him back on to talk about your case also. But it's important. That's a key case right now because it affects not just you, but every single one of you that have been arrested, because it's the main charge you've all been charged with, including Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's very serious, and this is monumental for the Jan 6 community, that charge, the obstruction of Congress 1512 charge, is a 20-year maximum felony, Annie. It's a serious charge, and the way that they've applied it to the Jan 6ers is completely inappropriate. They took the law code, they weaponized it, and they used it, they overbroadly used it in a crazy way. I mean, it was designed for a 2002 Enron case, the famous Ponzi scheme, to prevent the executives of that company from shredding the documents before they go before Congress, an official proceeding in Congress. And they've taken that law code that is directly tied to destroying and defacing and tampering with documents, and they're applying it to January 6ers like myself who never even made it inside the Capitol building, to Donald Trump, to hundreds of us. And so this is it's a very simple way to see for the American people that we are being treated with, political motivation here, that this is not, your run-of-the-mill, these are criminals, this is the law code. They are using this as a blanket political charge, overbroadly applying the political statute in order to weaponize it against Trump and his supporters. It's disgusting. But the Supreme Court is about to take this and do a miracle with it and prove to these George Soros prosecutors and these Marxists out there that they will not sit back idly by as American justice is perverted right before their eyes for political gain.
Yeah, well, there's also an appeals judge that may possibly be brought up on ethics charge, because Congresswoman Elise Stefanik has brought it up on Beryl Howe, saying that it was political. She was absolutely political, and she put that politics into the judgment, which would then overturn a lot of what you guys are being charged with. There are people out here fighting for you, and I hope that more and more people get involved.
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, so, I'm sorry. As a retired police officer, what I see going through to you gets me so angry that someone that has sworn an oath to uphold the Constitution and the law will violate it so easily and be willing to do it so gleefully. That disgusts me. It absolutely does disgust me as an oath taker. And I swear, if there is a way that we can charge those individuals for the assaults on you, they should be. And I hope that we find enough people to finally say, let's get together and do a counter lawsuit now and charge them for all the abuse and horror that you have been going through.
This is like I tried saying a few times, this is what tyranny actually, when it takes a physical form in a modern day society, this is what it looks like. It doesn't, it's not like powdered wigs and hanging by the gallows and all that kind of stuff. This is the political tyranny that America has now turned into a banana republic, where they're kidnapping people out of their homes, the FBI, they're, overcharging people for political gain, and it ends up being, there's over 240 January 6th political prisoners sitting, languishing, wasting, and rotting away in prisons all across this country as we speak right now. And so I think it's the duty of the rest of the American patriots out there to push back on this, with every ounce of their ability to, and demand from their representatives in Congress that this be the top matter to tackle in 2024. We need a new January 6th Select Committee that is not some Soviet show trial, some railroading committee full of propaganda and nonsense that Liz Cheney and the Democrats, the spineless bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. concocted to try to character assassinate the Jan 6ers in front of the whole world on 13 different network television studio programs that they put together. But we need a real fact-finding committee that finds out, why was January 6th orchestrated? Who had the most to gain? Who are the key players in it? Why were there hundreds of federal officers and confidential human sources and antagonizers and instigators inside the crowd? And what do we do?
You have 1 minute remaining.
That are currently sitting in prison, serving 10-year, 15-year, 20-year prison sentences. Right. That needs to be addressed. So my final call to action to all the American people out there is, write your representatives, call them, email them, be consistent, be persistent, and please pray for us.
Give the website once again before you get disconnected.
Yeah, guys, the best place to go to help out the Jan Sixers this Christmas, guys, is sponsorj6.com. Become a monthly commissary sponsor. We appreciate you. Sponsorj6.com. Annie, Chris, thank you guys so much for being real patriots and giving me a platform. God bless you and Merry Christmas.
God bless you. Merry Christmas. May you be home by it, I pray.
All right. Take
Amen.
care.
Amen. Hallelujah.
All right. Jake Lang, go to his
Thank
website.
you for using Global Telink.
Sponsorj6.com, and we are at the end of our show. We've got just 4 minutes left. I don't know what to say at this point. I mean, I have never thought I would see our country to stoop so low to treat a fellow human being in such a manner, and it is reprehensible. And I'm going to demand answers from my congressperson, from my senator. I am going to urge everyone out there to call, to write, and ask what is going on. Why does he have to endure what he's going through? The other J6ers are also experiencing, and the strength that you can hear in his voice, his faith is amazing. And believe it or not, he's a Jewish person who believes in the Lord Jesus Christ, and he prays to them. And this is the season of the birth of our Savior. So please, folks, dig a little deeper, and instead of giving someone a knitted sweater, take that money and in their name make a donation to sponsorj6.com, and put that in their Christmas card, and tell them that in their name that you made that donation, and then to make one in your own name. Instead of buying gifts, do something good out there. I mean, we're down to our last 3 minutes here, Curtis, and I am so angry to know that this guy's going through what he's going through. 3 years and no trial, and then when he does get the trial, he'll probably get 20 years for this 1512 obstruction, which they're unconstitutionally.
Yeah, they all being stonewalled. They're all being stonewalled. I mean, I thought lawyers had a whole lot more authority than that, you know. I mean, I would be having my lawyer in court seeing a judge every other day if that was the case. But I mean, if you can't get to your client, you should have some kind of way to seek a remedy for that, you know, legal remedy.
Well, we're just about done with the show for today. We do have some great guests coming up next week. We have former Congresswoman Anne Marie Burkle. Trying to remember who I have right after that. I apologize, because my mind right now is thinking about what Jake is going through. And I'm personally, when I go to church on Sunday, I'm going to pick up the form and I'm going to put him down on our parish prayer list. He deserves the prayers of everyone out there. Not just making a donation to the sponsorj6.com, but donate a prayer. There is a link on the show page, Legal Defense Fund, that sends you to go. What is it? That thing? Give, Send, Go. Give, Send, Go. J6 Legal Fund, where you can also make a donation there, and they also have where you can click on for a prayer request, and type in a prayer. Let them know that you're out there thinking
90 seconds.
So we're just about at the end of our.
Where's the ACLU?
Yeah.
You remember that group?
No.
ACLU? Where they at?
Yeah, right. As if they're going to do something. So, folks, thank you for listening to us here and all the technical difficulties I've been having. I'm going to work on it this week, but I'm getting married tomorrow, and I'm having surgery on Monday. Surgery on Monday, so I'm going to be able to take
60 seconds.
A couple of days, hopefully, and just figure out all what's going on, what's right, what's wrong. So I want to thank you for listening, and be back here, same bat time, same bat station on Friday. Thank you for listening. Curtis, thank you for being the best co-host I could have. And I say God bless to everyone, and good night.
All right. Okay.
I'm praying for this land I love, America. America, the home of the free. But there are people making plans to change America. They've no respect for her or what matters most to me. That's why I stand for the flag and I kneel at the cross. Mourn for the friends I have loved and lost. And I still believe in God we trust, and the freedom our forefathers granted us. I hope it's not too late to save America. Do you hear our battle cry across America? We've got to rescue her. You know it's up to me and you to see the truth behind their lies. Don't change America. God bless America and the red, white, and blue. That's why I stand for the flag and I kneel at the cross. Mourn for the friends I have loved and lost. And I still believe in God we trust, and the freedom our forefathers granted us. I hope it's not too late to save America. For the friends we have loved and lost, and we still believe in God we trust, in the freedom our forefathers granted us. We know it's not too late to save America. Save America. Let's save America. Together we can save